Okay, so I'll be doing a review on the Leopard 2A4 main battle tank for War Thunder. So this is a level or rank, we could say, a rank or level 6 tank for the German tank line, or main battle tank line. So this is a level 10 tank here, a battle rating of 10. This tank weighs about 55.2 tons, has a engine power of 2032 horsepower at 2600 RPM. Maximum velocity speed is 76 kilometers per hour. The repair cost is pretty expensive. It's 4,868. And this is not even a fully upgraded tank yet. And for my fully upgraded Leopard 1A5, it's 5,460. And this is an upgraded tank, not something that's unupgraded. So probably after the upgrades, it'll probably be more like 6,000 to 7,000 for repair costs. But right now I have some free repairs because I just got this tank. So this is a modern battle tank, you could say, from actually developed in the 1970s. And it was developed to replace the Leopard 1 series, which is pretty inadequate in terms of armor protection. It really doesn't have much armor. One shot from even an APC could probably take it out. If it had a 30 millimeter or something, or high, if it had even if it had a 25 millimeter autocannon, this thing could be taken out. If it's hit in the side or the rear, it really doesn't have much armor, and definitely could be taken out by any type of anti-tank munitions, whether that be heat rounds or high explosive anti-tank rounds or saber rounds or whatever. Very poor armor protection, but this is a modernized version of the Leopard 1, so it has modern features like thermal optics, laser rangefinder, and a stabilized gun. This tank has a stabilized gun as a standard feature, a laser rangefinder, and thermal optics. So the gun optics is from 4x to 12x, which is pretty good. This one also has gun optics of 4x to 12x. It has the same type of optics, I guess. The fire control system, I think it's a computerized fire control system. And starting from the 1970s and up, a lot of things were computerized because printed circuit boards were getting cheaper and cheaper, starting from the mid 1970s and up. So they could be integrated in just about anything, from microcontrollers and automated manufacturing plants for robotic arms and stuff like that. This gun doesn't have a automatic loader, so it's got to be loaded. You have to have a loader loading these shells into the gun. And there's about 15 shells here, and when these shells are depleted, your rate of fire goes down a lot. So it says you could get one shot every 7 seconds, only if it's within this ammo storage bin. I think this has some blast proof material, so this would prevent a cook off if this part of the tank was hit. If the tank was hit in the interior, you wouldn't have shrapnel going in here and setting these things off. So after you run out of your 15 rounds, you have more ammo here, and that loader has to load it into here, and it takes longer to load it into the gun from this area. So from here, this is kind of like a magazine. You could load it very quickly. Once you're out, you gotta wait. That's the bad thing about it. So this is a composite armor for the tank. It also has armor that is in the exterior, but that's not a lot. That's not the main armor. The main armor is inside of the tank for modern battle tanks. This part right here is not very well protected. It could be taken out very easily. As you can see, the side here has some I think this is the ERA, explosive reactive armor, I'm not sure, or just some kind of composite armor. The hull here is very well protected. It says 280 to 520 millimeters. So what composite armor is you're just using a bunch of materials sandwiched together, spaced apart. So the material could be ceramic to blunt the effects of a heat round or a high explosive anti-tank round, to blunting the effects of a kinetic energy round like a sabot round. And here the protection is about 585 millimeters. Here's about 520. You also have armor here. No, is it all the same? No, it's not. Got armor here and armor there, so that's 440. This part is very well protected. Here's about 240 millimeters of protection. The front side here is well protected with 220 millimeters. Right here, there's not very much protection. It's only like 35 millimeters. So if you get hit here, then your tank could really be destroyed or severely damaged. The rear is not well protected. The fuel tanks are here. Here's the engine in the rear. Like most tanks. Fuel tank. This is fuel also. So you have 4 crew: the driver, the loader, the commander, and the gunner. So the commander would select targets for the tank. He would tell the gunner to target certain tanks, you know. So the gunner would be shooting at the tank and the commander would just select the targets. That's how it works in most main battle tanks. So this tank doesn't have an active protection system. It entirely depends on its armor for armor and speed, and countermeasures like smoke grenades for protection, or seeking cover with its, or going behind cover. But it doesn't have any active protections like laser sensors or anything, because modern battle tanks use laser rangefinders to find the range of the target, so, and it feeds that into the fire control system, and then that gives the gunner or the computerized fire control system to determine where the point of aim should be without having to guess, because this is a tank of the information age, right? Not of the industrial age. So the information age is all about computerization, using sensors and data and stuff like that. So the gun is a 120 millimeter L44, which was pretty modern back in the 1980s, and the A4 series, or the Leopard 2 A4 series, was produced from 1985 to 1992. And the thing has 2 rifle caliber machine guns, which you can see right here, one here, 2,000 rounds. There's one inside of the tank as well. And it could be used for anti-aircraft, for anti-helicopter purposes, or taking out infantry, stuff like that. The thermal optics are pretty helpful, especially when you're fighting against other tanks and stuff in the daytime or nighttime or whatever. It can enable you to see targets more easily or track them down. So right now the thermal optics is engaged. And if I didn't have thermal optics, if I just had night vision like this, it'd be a lot harder to spot enemy tanks. But with this, it's very easy. You could use the laser rangefinder to get the range. So let's set that control. Okay, I've set it to Alt-R. So I'm going to check how far the range is. Alt-R. 749 meters. So that you can see on my gun sight. I could use the reticle on the left side of the gun sight. You can see how far is this target. Alt-R. 1,143 meters. And you can get the range pretty quickly with a laser rangefinder, within a few seconds, just like that. So it takes the guesswork out of aiming. You don't have to estimate, you just know how far it is. So you know where the shells are going to land, basically. Okay, good. So the gunner I think the gunner has thermal optics, but the driver only has access to night vision like this. The speed of this tank is pretty good. It's got pretty good reverse speed as well. If you get into any hot spots, you can definitely get away, because you could reverse as fast as 30 kilometers an hour, which is pretty good. You could kind of like use the machine gun as kind of like a physical rangefinder like this, so you know where the shells are impacting. But the ballistics, of course, are not the same. Just have a general idea of where the shells are landing. Machine guns are pretty useful against helicopters. Helicopters are vulnerable to any type of small arms, from assault rifle rounds to machine guns on a tank, rifle caliber machine guns. Main battle tank like this. Right now I only have heat rounds. heat rounds are not very good. Get the range. It's 500 meters. Okay. Looks like I have used all the rounds in the carousel, so you could notice that it's taking a lot longer to reload now. Okay. It's taking a lot longer to reload. As you can see in the bottom left corner of the screen, you see that ammunition with circles on it. So there's no rounds inside that carousel, so that's kind of like a magazine. So if the ammunition is loaded there, it takes only 7 seconds to reload. But if it isn't, right now it's loading it into the carousel, as you can see in the icon. So the loader is putting the ammo inside the magazine carousel. Now I got 1 round in there. He's loading another. Takes 27 seconds to load a round inside a carousel. That takes way too long. This is one thing I don't like about this tank. For the Leopard 1, you didn't have this problem. For this tank, you do have that kind of problem. I think that's a T90. That tank has an active protection system for its against anti-tank missiles. So it's always important to use the laser rangefinder in this tank, so I'm using it against that tank. When you use the laser rangefinder, it tells you exactly where to aim. That's thanks to its computerized fire control system. Okay. So modern tanks have a sensor which can detect laser rangefinders, like I said before, and that could give the tank time to use countermeasures like smoke grenades, like this, to avoid getting hit and seek cover. There's a tank right here. Try to hide from me. Okay, that's enough. Let's go play a battle or something. Let me get out of here. Okay, let's play a game and see how this tank does. Right now I'm just using its default high explosive anti-tank ammo. Because I don't have any saber rounds. See how well this thing does with this type of ammo. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start loading ammo into my carousel. And these guys just take out the rest of them. So I got 13 rounds in the carousel. I got 14. So this tank is basically, it's a very 1980s or late 1970s design, and it's very boxy. And a lot of cars from the 1970s and 1980s were very boxy in the way that they looked. If you ever seen an Audi from the 1970s or 80s, very boxy, or a Toyota Camry from the 1970s, also very boxy. Very boxy vehicle. Not refined like the vehicles that we have today in terms of design. Doesn't have the curves and everything. It's just very hard geometric shapes. Heat rounds are not very good. Prefer kinetic energy rounds. So I'm gonna let my friends take care of these guys while I reload my carousel. I have more rounds in my magazine. Got about 30 rounds. The penetration for these heat rounds is about 480 millimeters. Since most modern tanks have ERA, or explosive reactive armor, it's not going to be very effective. Kinetic energy rounds, I think, have, depending on which one, have anywhere from 393 millimeters to 410 millimeters of penetration. Hit it in the wrong spot. That didn't even scratch it. It's like I knocked out the engine. Took out the driver, the loader. Got 3 rounds in the carousel, that's it. Good hit. I took out the breech. He won't be shooting at me. Now's the problem. It's going to take me a while to reload now. So I used up all the ammo at the carousel. Now look at how long it takes to reload. Gotta get that ammo right there. resupply. Need to get to cover. Immobilized it. Took out the engine, so I immobilized that guy.
And victory will be ours.
Okay, got 8 rounds in the carousel. This tank has a high degree of mobility for a tank that weighs 55 tons. I think it's pretty good. I think countries that got this tank, the Leopard 2A4, like Turkey and Singapore, they actually modernized it by adding additional ERA plates on the exterior of the tank. Adding a new fire control system. Can't destroy them, at least I could just immobilize them. That didn't do anything. Loading from the carousel is pretty quick. Once you run out.
A little more effort, and victory will be ours. It serves him right. Yes, I hit.
So I'm going up against the same tanks, basically. Run out of ammunition very quickly on this tank. Get to cover before I get shot at. Oh, come on, I can make it. Good. rifle caliber machine guns against aircraft in this day and age? I don't think so. Something a lot heavier than that. Okay, now his turret can't turn. Damaged. Hit the ammo, but it didn't do a cook-off. That doesn't look good. I just got hit. It looks like my friends have it covered. So I better get a repair kit. Uh-oh. Time for that. I think these are relatively easy targets, so just gonna conserve ammo and reload my carousel. I only got 3 rounds in there. So the machine gun on this tank is an MG3. That is basically a MG42, which is chambered in 7.62 by 51, or 7.62 by 51 NATO. Like these machine guns are gonna do anything. Back.
Just keep it up, and victory will be ours.
Mobility is very important for tanks, I think. In addition to the armor protection, that's also important. With, being able to get out of hot spots is equally important. Breach is damaged. It's not going to be shooting back at me. Took out the loader. Actually took him out. My gun's been destroyed. Having this additional armor protection is definitely a good thing, in my opinion. They need help.
Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
Friends take care of that. I reload my carrots, so I only got 5 rounds in there.
Preparing. Returning to the base.
So this tank was designed so it could counter Soviet tanks like the T-72, T-80 series. I don't think the T-90s were even existed at that time. They did have T-72s and T-80s. The Soviets definitely had a lot of them. One more round in there. Modern battlefield, helicopters are an essential part of it. Definitely. They are used to support armor and infantry. Seek cover before I get shot at.
Victory is near.
Come on. Get it repaired. Okay, good. Let's go back into the fight. Oh well. I didn't lose any tanks at least. So what do I think about this tank? I think it's pretty good for a battle rating 10 tank. It's definitely good against tanks within its class compared to other tanks like, I guess, the M1 Abrams tanks. It'd be comparable to A1 Abrams tank. No, not an A1, an M1 Abrams tank. Yeah, this one with a 120 millimeter cannon, or be comparable to a, I think a T80 maybe. T80B. Or T72B. Leclerc is a battle rating 11 tank. I guess not a Leclerc. Maybe an AMX 40 or something. Yeah, so I think this tank was pretty good. I like it. It's okay. I don't have all the upgrades for it, so I didn't reach the full potential of the tank, but I mean, I didn't reach the full potential of what the tank could do, but overall it's a pretty good tank and I liked it. So anyways, if you have any thoughts, leave your comments, and thanks for watching. My East 1000 KS 1975 signing.